You're confirming that was Cody Garbrandt.
That was definitely me. Like, yeah.
I have a responsibility.
The guy just won. He's not. I mean, he will punch you.
I have a responsibility to educate the fans. So
Yeah, that's Cody Garbrandt.
And then
I don't want to say his name.
Well, I said it.
Let's go. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. No one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors, no one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors.
Yeah, Dominic Mazzata thought I should know better, but that's fine. We're going to get to all that in today's episode.
Yeah.
We're going to cover pretty much the fallout from Gladiators of the Cage and North Shores Rise to Power 3. The beautiful thing is, Drew, these events are getting so big, they're containing so much gravity and so much density that, one recap episode just doesn't cover it because, just like at CDMMA 9, more news just keeps filing in, and we have an obligation, or a privilege, really. I say privilege.
Yes, I would say privilege.
I say we have a privilege to cover it and have thanks everyone for the support. For everyone making the recap episode such a booming success that it was.
Hello, everyone. I'm Drew Shannon alongside Albert Cameron. Welcome to this edition of Cage Nation TV, the fallout from Gladiators of the Cage, North Shores Rise to Power 3. I love doing that.
I do too.
That's going to mess me up now when they do 4.
Well, when they do 4.
Woo!
Exactly. Exactly. That's going to be fun.
All right. We have got a lot to get to in this episode. I know the last episode, the past few episodes have been way over, close to 45 minutes.
Well,
we've got a lot of information.
Half of what we filmed actually made it to air last week.
Right. There was a lot. There was a lot that we didn't. We interviewed so many people, like Melissa Gazdick.
Yeah, Ryan Hogan's, Chris Dempsey, Brett Schoenfeld, Zach Oval. Before we even get into that, we also want to thank all the fine folks at Quick Rock and Magnum Broadcasting again.
Yeah, as you'll notice, we're back in the Quick Rock studios.
I promise you we're not moving in. They're just great. We're actually working on a surprise for next week.
Yeah, and you won't want to miss it.
No, you will not.
And it's the surprise is taking a little bit longer than we expected, but
you'll find out at the end of this episode what's going on.
It will be well worth it. So Absolutely. We are here in the Quick Rock studios at 315 South Atherton Street, State College, my stomping grounds. He's in my seat today, just because
I'm on this side. I mean, like you figure when we're normally in the set, you're on the right, you're on my right, I'm on your left.
Yeah, but that's my seat. That's my position.
Yeah, and it's very comfortable too. I feel like a very important person right now. All right, coming up, we got the newsreel. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly coming from Gladiators of the Cage, North Shores Rise to Power 3. We're digging deep into the Cameron Underground. We're bringing you a fight from way back in the day, and we're got a good show planned.
We do. Stick around. It's the fallout from Gladiators of the Cage, North Shores Rise to Power 3. It's coming up next. Cage Nation TV. Don't you go nowhere.
It's time for another edition of Cage Nation TV Newsreel, spanning the globe to bring you the latest news in MMA.
We start the newsreel this week on a sad note, with the passing of Shane Del Rosario at the age of 30. Del Rosario suffered 2 heart attacks 2 weeks ago and was on life support since that time. He was a rising prospect in both Elite XC and later Strikeforce and got his biggest win submitting LeVar Johnson in February of 2011. After that fight, he was involved in a terrible car accident but did eventually make it back and was picked up by the UFC after they purchased Strikeforce and fought for them for the first time at UFC 146 in May of 2012. Cage Nation TV sends their condolences to Del Rosario's family and friends. Well, the UFC was a hotbed of news this week with the announcement of Georges St. Pierre taking an indefinite leave of absence from fighting and vacating the UFC welterweight title after reigning as champion for 2,064 days. Back on April 19, 2008, he regained the title from Matt Serra at UFC 84. Following the announcement, UFC President Dana White immediately announced that Johnny Hendricks will fight Robbie Lawler on March 15th at UFC 171 in Dallas, Texas for the vacant title. Also this week, the UFC made the official announcement that they've signed 11 fighters for their new women's strawweight division, and they'll be featured in an all-female season of The Ultimate Fighter that'll begin filming next May and debut around September 2014. The 11 fighters signed to the strawweight division include Invicta FC champion Carla Esparza, Claudia Gadella, Ticia Torres, Felice Herrig, Joanne Calderwood, Beck Hyatt, Rose Namajunas, Emily Kagan, Juliana Lima, Alex Chambers, and Paige Van Zandt. And finally, Cain Velasquez underwent surgery this past week for a partially torn labrum in his left shoulder stemming from the Junior Dos Santos fight back in October. Velasquez was initially trying to avoid surgery and rehab the injury, but it was decided he would need surgery, and this puts him on the shelf for a good portion of 2014. Fabricio Werdum was scheduled to get the next title shot and may have to take another fight while awaiting Velasquez's return.
Don't worry about remote signal blockage again. Introducing the Top Mount. This low-profile shelf is perfect for placing your cable box where you can use it. The easy-to-install lightweight shelf is designed to fit behind almost any flat screen TV, with or without a wall mount. The Top Mount is perfect for easy access to cable boxes, game consoles, and DVD players. Don't have your signal blocked again. Order your Top Mount today at thetopmount.com.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV. This is the Fallout episode from Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore's Rise to Power 3, which was last weekend in Pittsburgh, PA at Stage AE, a wonderful facility.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, you saw everything the cast had. I mean, the guy was right on the money.
Right.
I mean, the venue was built for concerts.
I didn't need him to tell me that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just that
to tell you guys that if you've never been there.
That news build, I mean, the place is built for concerts, but I mean, it was clearly a great place for people to get together and gather, and I mean, for an event like that was just absolutely incredible.
It's a gathering place, not just for music, but for good times, and
good times were had.
Good times were had by all. We want to thank everybody at Gladiators of the Cage and, of course, Stage AE for having us. It was just fantastic. And we're going to touch upon the good, the bad, and the ugly here in just a little bit. But right now, before we get to that...
What brings us all to the dance is fights.
Exactly.
Fights. And unfortunately, because... well, not unfortunately. I mean, Root TV covered Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore's Rise of Power. It was unfortunate we didn't have our video cameras on, so...
Well, we couldn't.
Yeah, we couldn't. But, I mean, it's worth it once you see the replay on Root Sports, Fox 53... Tough TV, You Fight Live.
And Root Sports this Friday night.
Yes.
December 20th, 8 p.m., Root Sports.
Pay close attention. You might see something that kind of looks like the Cage Nation adorned on a few chests.
I don't know.
Cage side. I mean, we had great seats.
We were cage side. We were at the back of the cage. And Cass and I tried so bad to get those logos on. Sitting up. So if you see two guys like suddenly or like look like they have like something shoved up their...
They did take the coat hangers out of their shirts. I promise you that. But
yeah, that's a polite way of saying it.
Yeah. So the big thing that came from Gladiators of the Cage was there was a lot of great gyms who were represented.
Right.
Of course, the Mat Factory was there. Team AMS got the clean sweep. Dignam Broom by MMA was even represented in a little bit in Shane Valco. So I got to thinking, like, these super gyms. Gyms, I mean, regionally are fantastic. They do a great job. Mm-hmm. But where did the super gym start from? And there was one super gym from back in the day that kind of stuck out my head, and that was the Militich Fighting Systems, MFS. So the guy who thought up the Militich Fighting Systems was Pat Militich. Pat Militich was exposed very, very early in UFCs. I mean, this guy was doing no holds barred fights, and I'm saying no holds barred. I'm talking bare-fisted, only 2 rules.
Right.
He was doing no holds barred fight. I mean, he's practically showing up to some guy's basement, signing a waiver, and he was fighting away. I mean, that's just how Pat Militich got started. So in the Cameron Underground, we got Pat Militich. He's taking on Chadcock in an event that I don't even think has a name. I mean, I'm sure someone in Iowa knows, but I don't know what it is. But I found the video, and I'm bringing it to you guys right now. So Pat Militich, the father of the Super Jam, right here in the Cameron Underground.
everyone, it's Drew Shannon. This is my daughter Angelina.
Hi everybody.
We're here to tell you about a charity that is near and dear to our hearts. It is the Christmas Crusade for Kids. This is the 4th annual Christmas Crusade for Kids with 105.9 Quick Rock, News Talk 970 AM WBLF, and AM 1260 WPHB. We're teaming up with the Youth Service Bureau of Center County to provide Christmas to a lot of kids in our area. Last year, we helped over 540 kids have a Christmas that you would not believe, a Christmas that they would not have otherwise had. This year, our goal is to help 600 kids to have a brighter Christmas, and you can make that happen. Every hour on the air on 105.9 Quick Rock and on AM 1260 WPHB, and during Center County this morning from 6 to 9 a.m. with Jerry Fisher, we'll ask you, the listeners, to sponsor a child. This will go on through till December 18th. All you have to do is give us your name, address, phone number, and email. We'll submit that information to the Center County Youth Service Bureau. From there, they'll send you by email a tag that you'll place on the gift for your sponsored child. No need to wrap them. They'll take care of it there. They'll also send you a letter stating where you can drop off your gift near you. The Youth Service Bureau will then wrap the gifts at a gift wrapping party, and then they'll make sure that the presents get to your sponsored kid. It's real easy to do. I sponsor kids every year. You can do the same. It's the 2013 Christmas Crusade for Kids, now through December 18th, with Magnum Broadcasting and the the Center County Youth Service Bureau. If you'd like to make a monetary donation, you can do so at the following address: Magnum Broadcasting, P.O. Box 436, State College, PA 16804. That's Magnum Broadcasting, P.O. Box 436, State College, PA. Zip code is 16804. Make sure to make your check or money order out to the Center County Youth Service Bureau. With your help, we can put smiles on a lot of kids' faces this holiday season in the Center region. Isn't that right, kiddo? All right. So do your part. Help out with the 2013 Christmas Crusade for Kids. Anything you want to add?
Thanks for your support and Merry Christmas.
The 2013 Christmas Crusade for Kids wraps up this Wednesday, so if you haven't already sponsored a kid as of yet, please consider doing so. Give us a call, 814-272-1059. Call our business office, 814-272-1320. Or you can make a monetary donation at the address listed below. You'll put that on there because I can't see it right now.
The editors will.
Yeah, the editors will. Whatevs.
Yeah.
All right. You've waited for it all episode. Now we're going to get into it. We're going to get into as what Jack Black and Nacho Libre would call the nitty-gritty.
I never saw that movie, probably for
You
good
need
reason.
to see that.
Really?
Movie. Oh, it's an awesome flick.
All right. So the nitty gritty.
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly from Gladiators of the Cage, Rise to Power 3. We couldn't fit all of it into one episode. In fact, we might even have to do a third episode of the interviews itself that we conducted. Or something.
Something.
They were
The
good
news
interviews.
keeps pouring in. I mean, it was one of the situations we're driving home again. We're getting text messages. We're getting Facebook messages.
Yeah.
There's all things going on. One, we're very, very thankful that people trust us with that information. I mean, we've really been welcomed by the regional MMA community, and I think that is just a huge privilege, and we're very, very thankful for that on our part.
It is way cool.
Absolutely. I mean, the Pittsburgh is such a great regional scene. It was kind of secular there for a while, but now it's just expanding. We're going to get into all that. But let's start with the good.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, Jason the Whip Willett, Dominic Mazzata, and others will be trying out for Bellator. We were talking to quite a few of them, and they said that they had some tryouts for Bellator on the way, which was really cool.
Bellator is I think we've well documented what Bellator's not doing right, but what Bellator does do right is, one, they still got the tournament format. I mean, we love seeing guys just claw their way to victory. That is exciting to watch.
Right.
I don't know if Bellator, though, is prepared for the guys out of the Keystone State, and namely the Steel City. These guys are coming into fights. I mean, they are so prepared. They're so focused. I mean, one of the big names from Pennsylvania that Bellator has gotten was Daryl Orchard.
Right.
Yeah, and so now we got guys like Dominic the Honey Badger Mazzata trying out for Bellator. How awesome is that?
and we can sit back and say, hey, we saw him fight back, and this is why you need to go to these local fights.
Absolutely. We get to? You mean we're going to? Like, I'm certainly going to walk around all through the States to State College here being like, oh, hey, Dominic Mazzata, I know that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make it sound like we're best friends, whether or not the Honey Badger here agrees with that or not. Jason Willett, one of the head guys at Team AMS.
Mm-hmm.
Team AMS did a great job. Donnie Bard practically knocking his opponent out twice. Jason Willett almost taking an arm home with him to put on his mantle. Melissa Gazdick, in probably one of the best opening fights in the card we could have.
Oh my God, yeah.
Team AMS, these guys were training hard. The Mat Factory, of course. So when Bellator gets a hold of these guys and they see how well they can train, how well they can fight, how truly dynamic these fights are, I can't imagine why Bellator's not going to snatch them up.
Now, we also got to mention, too, that didn't Brett Schoenfeld mention that he was going to be at the Bellator camp, too, right?
Yeah.
He was going to be trying out.
Brett Schoenfeld will be there. Bellator's a great opportunity. One, because, these guys are getting great national TV exposure.
Right.
And not just national TV exposure one time, but repeat national TV exposure. Bellator's on, like, my Comcast On Demand. You know?
Right.
You know?
You've got Spike TV, you've got the on-demand services. And if they ever get it off the ground, pay-per-view.
Exactly. It's just a great opportunity. Now, I think...
Which, with the caliber... And I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
With the caliber of fighters like a Jason the Whip Willett, Dominic Mazzata, Brett Showtime Schoenfeld, and so many others that are trying out for Bellator, if they do get in, I see that pay-per-view, the buy rates are going to, just go up steadily and to skyrocket. These guys are just fantastic in what they do.
Well, one, the Pennsylvania fans are fanatic.
Right.
Let's be honest, between Dominic Mazzata and Chris Dempsey, Stage AE was nearly a pile of Rebel AE. They almost tore the house down. The guys who are fighting on the Gladiators of the Cage card are already beating Bellator veterans. They're already proving that the guys who have made it into Bellator, they can already beat them.
Right.
Louis the Beast Rumsey, Tawan Howard. Chris... They've already proven they can beat it. It's just a matter of getting these guys who have already proven themselves and getting them on that stage, getting them on TV, and I think that's just going to be fantastic.
All right. Well, speaking of that, the event is going to be reaching audiences all over the U.S. and quite possibly the world, talking about Root Sports, which, of course, as we mentioned, this Friday night, 8 p.m., check your local listings. You're not going to want to miss it. Also, Fox 53 in Pittsburgh, You Fight Live. This was streaming on the internet as it happened. We had people back here in the center region watching it.
They were texting us while the fight was going on because they were watching it real time.
Exactly, and Tough TV as well.
And not just real time. You figure how much you pay for a pay-per-view.
Right.
Okay. The You Fight Live pay-per-view was $10.
It was $10.
You blow $10 at Starbucks.
And it was $10 well spent. If I would have watched that fight for $10, if I would have watched all those fights, I would have been like, you know what, guys? Here's an extra 10. You know what? Here's an extra 20. That's how good it was.
When we were getting ready to go down to that fight, we were really concerned about the weather. Because, the weather was going to get bad. It's really comforting to know that for $10, which we spent more in gas, the trip was well worth it.
Yeah.
But for $10, we could have seen that fight too. And that expansion is global. That is a great reach. $10, you can't even get decent wrestling anymore without more than what, 40, 50?
At least, I think, $45, $50.
So, guys who are clearly on their way to the top, making big names for themselves, are able to fight, and you're able to see it for $10. That is absolutely incredible. I can't walk out of Starbucks for less than $10.
I feel like I'd be cheating the guys at You Fight Live if I watched it for $10. I feel like I'd be stealing it.
Yeah,
I have to guess.
Those fights are that good.
Yeah, they were that good.
Yeah, and Tough TV getting involved with that. These guys are clearly seeing the same thing we do, that there is a quality fight scene and a fight scene that's about to erupt, and they're getting their hooks in early. Right. And I don't blame them. Not essentially related to Gladiators of the Cage, but I think Gladiators of the Cage got a lot of things moving. Namely, guys who are Pittsburgh veterans are getting signed in because they're... Gladiators of the Cage put a big spur in Pinnacle FC. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not taking sides between Gladiators of the Cage and Pinnacle FC. As journalists, we just don't do that.
Right.
But the great thing about being so close and having that kind of competition is these guys are constantly trying to outdo each other. And we as fight fans are the ones who benefit from that. Competition, I think we've learned over many years in just watching fights. Yeah.
Not even not just UFC, Bellator, and all the other fight companies, but even the pro wrestling companies, when it was the Monday Night Wars, Monday Night Raw, WWE, WWF versus WCW, that competition is great for the business itself.
It's the same reason why UFC will never ever be the only. There will always be someone who's number two. I mean, if it wasn't Pride, it was going to be Elite XC. If it wasn't Elite XC, it was going to be Bellator. And if Bellator ever fades away, I mean, the Cage is still in the running. The Extreme Fighting Championships are there. Competition is great. So we're seeing this locally in Pittsburgh. I mean, this is happening. It's regionalized. So now Gladiators of the Cage, I think, had a great showing. They put on a great event that people are still talking about. So now Pinnacle FC is starting to make some moves. And I think they just... Pinnacle FC, I just talked to Paul recently. Pinnacle FC signed Paul McAleer to fight Julian Rubiano. Which, to know why that fight's important, one, PMAC is probably one of the flagship fighters out of Dignam Rabat. The kid has got heart, he never quits. He would have been in Complete Devastation 9 if it hadn't been for that calf slicer all the way in June. Still wrecking up his program. He's fighting Julian, might be wrong on that first name. His last name is Rubiano. Rubiano's only victory on his record is a win over Lenny Karlheim. And so, there's a great drama there. Pinnacle FC and Gladiators of the Cage are seeing the guys who are fighting in the Altoona area are certainly worth their weight in salt, and they're signing them up now.
And speaking of Lenny Karlheim, we'll get to him in this as well, because he was involved indirectly with a moment at Gladiators of the Cage. We'll explain that here in just a bit. All right, we're going from the good now to the bad, and when we mean bad, we're talking about injuries. Zach Schultz, 30-day suspension for a TKO loss.
See, the great thing about having cage-side seats are you get to see all the action. The bad thing about cage-side seats are you have to see all the action. Zach Schultz was taking monster shots to the head. I mean, and it's really good that Travis List was able to be such a domineering force. And had Travis List not gone into retirement, I mean, he would have hit the pro scene. He would have hit the pro scene running. This is not going to keep Zach Schultz down. 30-day suspension, I mean, that's just the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. Make sure that he's taking the time to get healthy. But this is not going to keep Zach Schultz down. Zach Schultz is going to get back up there. He's going to fight for another crown. And, I mean, Zach Schultz is just still headed for the top.
All right, Dan Kakuta, indefinite suspension until his hand gets cleared. We heard him in the cage in the post-fight interview saying that he broke his hand. And boy, did he.
A broken hand could be anything from a small fracture to bone sticking out of a hand. He was more towards the bone sticking out of the hand than he was to a hairline fracture. And the amazing thing, like the completely amazing thing that says Dan Kakuta's a warrior is he was still throwing bombs with that hand.
Exactly, he was still fighting. He won the fight.
He won. He breaks his hand, he's still striking, and he wins the fight. I mean, that just says that Dan Kakuta he's made of really strong stuff. I mean, you hear professional basketball players like faking injuries, football players sitting on games because they want more money. Dan Kakuta is fighting an amateur, and he's fighting with a broken hand. That, my friends, is the makings of a warrior.
All right, Roger Anderson, 60-day suspension for his KO loss.
He was essentially knocked out twice. I mean, he was doing a great job hanging in there, but I mean, Donnie Bard just absolutely had a fire lit under him. And I don't know if it was the loss to Ethan Goss, but when he went back to Team AMS and the Fractured City team, he's like, you know what? I want to be a monster. And that's exactly what they turned him into. At the end of round 2, I believe it was. End of the round, Roger Anderson was out on his feet. He was out on his feet. And the only thing that saved him was the fact that he was close enough to a cage's lean and the fact that the bell went off. That's not saying Roger Anderson's a bad fighter. It was just a very fortunate situation for him to be in.
And it was the end of the second.
It was the end of the second?
Going into the third, I think we all pretty much knew that it was the beginning of the end.
Not even 16 seconds into the third round, Donnie Bard finishes the job.
Donnie Bard had his number.
Absolutely. But so a 60-day suspension for practically being out twice. But even with that situation happening where he was out on his feet in the end of the second and completely knocked out at the end of the third, I still think that's better than boxing. I mean, because boxing, you get knocked down, you get back up. I mean, three times I think is the knockdown rule. Well, that's where soft tissue damage occurs. So, I mean, referee Chip Snyder was right in there, and Roger Anderson's going to get to fight another day because Chip Snyder was in there controlling everything.
All right, now to the ladies. Courtney Kern, 45-day suspension, and if you saw that fight, you know why. Courtney took a I mean, she kept on fighting.
Yeah,
but
Courtney didn't give up.
She didn't give up. To her credit, she did not give up, but she did take a beating, as the scars on her face will tell you.
One, they couldn't get her nose to stop bleeding.
Right.
Her nose continued to bleed.
Well, okay. When we were going into round number 2, I mean, the blood guy came in, was cleaning up the mat and everything like that, and they were getting ready to start, and then I noticed down at her feet that blood was starting to pool. I'm like, is she still bleeding? And Chip Snyder immediately had the doctor come in and the seconds to try to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Which they did.
Barely.
For a few seconds. And then the round 2 started. Melissa Gazdeck came in like a house of fire. She saw the bullseye. She targeted it. Bam. And next thing you know, the fight was stopped.
Courtney Curran had a pretty big scratch coming from like the corner of her eye to the end of her nose.
Right. They stopped the fight for the moment.
Yeah.
Because of the eye. Well, there was an eye scratch. It was, I believe it was Melissa Gazdeck's glove scratched Courtney in the eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is that karma? Perhaps. Because Melissa Gazdeck got herself an indefinite suspension for an eye injury that she suffered. And I know that
I wouldn't call it karma.
No, not karma, but I'm saying like, not even like poetic justice, but I mean like, an eye injury was destined to happen in the middle of that fight.
Right.
Okay, we'll call it that. An eye injury is destined to happen. Melissa Gazdeck is a fantastic person. I mean, we really enjoyed talking to her.
Oh, Melissa's great.
But we knew there was a problem whenever it was later in the card. Melissa Gazdeck comes down to cage side, and we're seeing probably right through the cage. She's talking to the doctor, the cage side doctor.
Yeah, I looked over and I saw that that she was talking to the doctor in attendance, and he had the flashlight in her eyes and stuff. And I noticed, I'm like, did something happen? Something happened to Melissa, or her eyes messed up or something, or what? And we figured maybe she had scratched a cornea or something. I shot her a message on Facebook. She responded back, and she indeed had a scratch on her eye. However, things should be right as rain within about a week. So,
and
it happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, when the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission levies an indefinite suspension, it doesn't mean like, oh, you're never going to fight again. It's just saying we feel that the injury is in such a place where we need to make sure we jump through hoops to make sure that you're okay for your own safety.
Right. So she's going to get checked out. She'll be right as rain in no time. So.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
going from the good to the bad to the night we had. Let me tell you something. And I don't know if I would call this. Well, you know what? Okay, I would call this ugly.
Yeah.
And we'll get into why in just a moment. Let's just right out of the gate. And you're hopefully going to see this on Root Sports this Friday.
I've confirmed they do have the footage.
They
cameras were rolling,
and they will have this on Friday.
That I don't know, but I know that it was captured on camera.
Okay, so hopefully, if you don't see this on Root Sports on Friday, 8 p.m., we'll try. I mean, we'll try our best.
We'll talk to who we know, but.
We'll talk to our connections.
Wow.
Dominic Mazzata and Cody No Love Garbrandt call each other out.
Dom starts post by saying, "There's a guy who's been calling me out. I'm going to call him out, but I'm not going to call him out by name."
Right. Never mentions Garbrandt by name.
Garbrandt kind of outed himself. Would you not agree?
In a manner of speaking, yes. When you jump in the middle of the cage and go face to face with a man who just won the fight, and you're not even supposed to be in the building, from what we were told by Gladiators of the Cage officials, you kind of make yourself known as to be the guy whose name we shall not mention.
If Albert Cameron ever does anything in MMA well, it is I'm able to relate stories with other stories. So I'm thinking, when have we ever seen a guy jump into a cage before to issue a challenge? And it was Jason Mayhem Miller. And we know what kind of antics Mayhem's been up to. I mean, you got a name like Mayhem. I mean, of course, you're going to just be acting a fool. Not saying that Cody Garbrandt was, but that's what Mayhem's known for. So Mayhem jumps into the cage, tries to pick a fight with Nick Diaz. Seconds start brawling with seconds, and it was just nasty. So,
I think the best part about that though was I mean, if there's any good part about Garbrandt coming into the cage and getting face to face with Mazzata, it created a lot of buzz, a lot of drama.
Oh, it made that beef legit.
People were talking about it.
I'm still talking about it.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. I literally thought that they were gonna fight and things were gonna go down. Security got in there. Chip Snyder, the Gladiator. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Screensavers are a wonderful thing. The Gladiators, the Cage officials got in there and they escorted him out. And from what I was told,
there was a police escort.
It was a police escort because they wanted to get him out of there for his own safety.
Consider the following. And I actually reached out to Cody Garbrandt. He declined to comment. He was very respectful about it. He just declined to comment, and that's fine. I mean, he's the kind of guy where he wants his fist to do the talking, and that's fine.
Right.
Let's consider the metrics of this. Cody Garbrandt shows up, jumps into a cage with Dominic Mazzata, and they're forehead to forehead. They're getting ready to... Something very ugly is going to happen. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you that Dominic Mazzata had more friends in that building than what Cody Garbrandt did at that particular moment.
Right.
So... The police escort out to his car was probably for Garbrandt's own safety.
Well, we were told there's about 300 rabid Mazzata fans in attendance.
Yeah.
And it was for Garbrandt's own protection that he had a police escort.
It would be the same thing if Dominic Mazzata showed up to Pinnacle FC and jumped in there. We'd
expect the same thing.
We'd expect that there'd be a legion of Cody No Love Garbrandt fans, and it would be for Dom's own safety that he would be escorted out by the police. But that's the kind of drama that makes a fight interesting.
Right.
I mean, we don't know where the fight's going to be held. We don't know the venue. We don't know the promotion. We just know that there are two guys who don't like each other, who are willing to go to those kind of lengths to get at each other's throats.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
We spoke to some of the officials, some of the guys behind the scenes of Gladiators of the Cage. Ray Reamer, Josh Cromer. Who else did we speak to about this?
Rich.
No, we didn't speak. I spoke to Rich later about it.
Okay.
We spoke to Robert Joseph, and they all said that he was not supposed to be there at all.
Gladiators of the Cage as a whole, they're remaining silent on it. They've commented on what happened. They've acknowledged that it happened, but they're not acknowledging anything else. They're just not getting involved in any sort of publicity war. They're staying silent, which is probably, that's their... Whenever they do make a statement, I imagine it's going to be to the best of the local mixed martial arts. But as of right now, no official statement has been made. They've acknowledged that Garbrandt was there, that he left, and a lot of people didn't even know that it happened.
Right. I know for a fact that Rich Miller of Gladiators of the Cage had no idea until the after party that it happened.
Right.
So
well, I mean, no official statement's been made, which is fantastic.
When they do make a statement, though, guys. Let us have the exclusive rights to it, okay? Tell us first.
So, here's the ugly metrics of it. Mazzata is signed to a Gladiators of the Cage contract.
Right.
Garbrandt is very, very loyal to Pinnacle FC.
Now, Mazzata only has one more fight left in that contract, too.
Right.
Okay.
Unless he gets picked up by Bellator.
Right.
By Bellator. So, I mean, I think Pinnacle's promoting March 29th. That's when PMAC will be fighting for Pinnacle FC March 29th.
Okay.
There's also talk that Gladiators of the Cage is going to be putting on an event in March. I can't imagine that they're trying to counter-program each other. It was just very, very fortunate timing.
Now, I was going to say something. I completely forgot what I was going to say. It was involved with all of that.
Okay.
Now I was told that Garbrandt did not have an exclusive contract to Pinnacle.
Not that I'm aware of. I wasn't able to get a comment from Garbrandt. So I'm not sure what his deal is.
So conceivably, though, if all things fall into place, and we're not saying this as we're talking, for instance, we're just talking, what might happen.
Logistically, it would. If Garbrandt is not signed to an exclusive contract with Pinnacle FC, logistically, it would be easier for Garbrandt to go to Gladiators of the Cage and fight.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of loyalty there, and I respect that.
You have to.
Yeah, I mean, he's really sticking up and defending the guys who brought him to the dance. Pinnacle FC is what made Cody Garbrandt a name, just as Gladiators of the Cage is what made Dominic Mazzata a name. So, there's legal red tape aside, I think there's a lot of honor and pride, and that's very respectable.
Right. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't mind seeing something co-promoted between the two if it was at all possible.
I mean, UFC won't co-promote with anybody. That's why.
No, I know.
That's why Fedor Emelianenko never signed with UFC. But I mean, if they were able to strike a deal, I think that'd be easily one of the biggest fights in Pittsburgh.
I was going to say, bottom line, this fight goes down, we are so there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't care which company gets the fight, we are there.
Well, I mean, just think about this, too. I mean,
huge.
Gladiators and Pinnacle are two excellent hype machines. They're very good promoters in mixed martial arts. They are very, very good. I mean, they've been putting on the fights that everyone's been wanting to see. You get those two machines working in synergy with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Boom! It's like Vegas, baby. Like, you know, Pittsburgh's on its way to becoming a big fight town anyway.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the City of Champions, I mean, is clearly making that name for itself again in the world of mixed martial arts.
Right.
You get two big names like that with two companies who know how to promote.
Yeah. Explosive.
Yeah.
Just like the stadium in Gotham City. Just like Heinz Field in Dark Knight Rises,
Absolutely.
which was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
All right. After Gladiators of the Cage, in fact, it was during Gladiators of the Cage, during the intermission between the Emmy and the Pro bouts, I was sitting cage side just chilling out. You and Cass were walking around, and you happened to run into somebody who was...
This story broke on CageNationTV.com.
Right.
We ran into Rich Miller, and he said, hey guys, stay tuned. There's going to be some big news. And we're like, okay. So then yesterday, we're filming, this is Wednesday we're filming, Tuesday. Tuesday, the wonderful world of... Apparently Facebook is good for something other than Candy Crush and sending out annoying invites to events you'll never go to.
Right.
Facebook is apparently good for something because Rich Catalina takes it to Facebook saying, I'm calling out Lenny Carlheim.
Well, we were told they were seeking us out to make the announcement as well, correct?
They were just, I think they were seeking us out because they think we're nice guys and they just want to say hi to us. But...
Well, that too.
Yeah, I mean, but we knew ahead just because we do stay in close contact with these guys,
right,
that Rich was going to call out Lenny.
So that indeed happened. As we are taping this on a Wednesday, that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So
now for our friends are in Pittsburgh who we're making great contacts in Pittsburgh. We love you guys.
Oh my God,
you guys are
totally.
fantastic. So you're wondering, where does all this heat come from? Well, the heat comes from CD MMA 8, which happened in March of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
March 2012, Lenny Carlheim was slotted for a title shot against Zachary Schultz. Lenny Carlheim experiences one of the worst injuries that you can experience as a pro athlete. His knee just completely exploded on itself. His knee injury is actually related to, it was a lot like the one GSP had, George St. Pierre had whenever he got hurt. So Lenny Carlheim was not able to take that title shot. Rich Catalina was able to be tapped. The rest is history. Catalina wins the title. He goes to Pinnacle FC. He wins the title there, back-to-back title fights he won. I think a lot of people were saying to him and saying to his camp, that was Lenny's title fight. That's Lenny's title. Mm-hmm. And I think Rich Catalina has just heard all of that he wants to hear, and he's laying the challenge out. He wants to fight Lenny Carlheim.
Okay, now when was CDMMA 8?
March 2012.
You sure about that? Because we just got done with 9.
Yes, because 8 was the last one before it got sold.
You sure it wasn't 2013? Earlier this year?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 2013.
Just making sure.
It's been a long day.
I was going to say, it's been a long stretch between 8 and 9.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Earlier this year.
Right.
March
okay.
2013. Okay.
Okay.
It feels like years ago.
I know.
With everything that's happened.
It was so long in between those fights.
It feels like years ago.
Wow.
So, CDMMA, now here's the great thing.
Okay.
Rich is trying to take away home field advantage from Lenny. He says, I will not fight you in Altoona, you're coming to Pittsburgh. Which I don't think it's gonna stop the Lenny train from coming to Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, Brett Schoenfeld will bust people in. Charlie's had people show up to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I think the folks who are big supporters of the King of the Altoona Amateurs, I think they'll fill a Pittsburgh venue. There's been some mixed reactions. One, Lenny just doesn't back down from a fight because Lenny is an absolute warrior.
Right.
A lot of people are asking why, because Rich has probably twice as many fights as Lenny. Lenny's coming off an injured list. Mm. And I mean, from my perspective, I really think it's Rich is tired of hearing that was Lenny's shot. And Rich wants to prove that everything on the table, he would have earned that title shot, and he would have won that title fair and square, regardless of the circumstance.
Well, no doubt, we would love to talk to everyone involved in those. I mean, just not just Rich and Lenny, but I mean, we'd love to talk to Dom again and Cody Garbrandt about all of this. And
I think we will, because I mean, I'm very confident that we will. The Pittsburgh fight scene is ever growing, and that is great for all of us because coming from State College, I think we can make it to Pittsburgh in 3 hours.
Roughly 3 hours.
If we stopped in Altoona to get Cass, we can make it in 2.
Yeah.
2 from Altoona.
But we don't really need to get Cass, do we?
Cass did good.
No, I'll tell you what. It was. I do want to give a shout out to Cass. Great job And it was great having you with us, as always. He's our traveling companion.
Absolutely.
He drove us down there, for cripe's sake.
He did.
But yeah, it's always a pleasure working with guests. And we're going to be working with someone else very soon, from what I understand.
Very shortly, you're going to want to pay attention to Facebook and CageNationTV.com.
And we're looking forward to having him come aboard the Cage Nation TV.
We're super excited about that.
We need to get a girl, too.
Mrs. Cameron says no. I mean, unless it's Mrs. Cameron. Mrs. Cameron says no.
I don't know. We need a female interviewer. I think I know a few people that might.
If you put on a wig, I am not being seen on public.
No.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I
almost put the Batman mask on this week. But.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the fallout from North Shore's Rise to Power 3. News is coming out every single day, so you want to pay attention to CageNationTV.com and certainly our website. Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter, yes. And Facebook. We've got to say that we just hit over the 300 mark in our likes, so we want to thank everybody for jumping on board. All of you who are new to Cage Nation TV, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope that you'll stick around. We hope that you enjoy what you see, and we'll promise to provide you the best in local, regional, national, and international MMA news, fights, and all sorts of great stuff.
Absolutely.
We promise to entertain.
You're also going to want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to start clearing out our hard drives, and we're just going to start throwing up videos and outtakes of stuff. And we're not going to tell you that when it's showing up, but if you subscribe, it'll be brought to you.
Plus, the more people who subscribe, the more people who watch, the better it is for Cage Nation TV.
Absolutely.
So it's showing everyone out there that you guys are interested in the product, you're interested in MMA, you're also interested in Cage Nation TV, and that's good for everybody.
Absolutely.
We can keep doing what we're doing.
We'll Drew next week.
By the way, I'm not actually talking into a microphone to this whole thing. This is just here as a prop, so I don't even really need it. But I'm just too used to this in this studio. All right, next week, Albert.
We're talking to the.
Do we want to tell them?
We want to get them to watch next week, don't we?
We want to get a huge guest. This man is a huge individual in the world of MMA, a legend.
And probably easily one of the nicest guys I think I've ever talked to.
Let's just say that he's a nice guy talking to outside, but inside
until the cage door slams,
he's a beast.
Stay tuned next week on Cage Nation TV. I'm Albert Cameron. This is Drew Shannon. Thank you guys for watching.
See you next week.
Let's go.